Hard mode faction wars are coming to raid, so I'm here to tell you about how to prep. No, I'm not. I've seen a number of those videos out there. I just honestly, I think they're kind of entertaining, but not practical. I'm actually here to tell you why I'm not doing a video on how to prep for hard mode faction wars, and also a section on what I hope to come out of it. If faction wars are getting you interested in the content, though, you can actually get a great start in raid right now. If you click on the link in the description right now, you can actually get the free legendary lockdown nuker Karato, and also Tagoar, who's an excellent epic to help keep the team alive when you reach level 15. You just have to follow 4 steps. Step 1, log out of Plarium Play on the PC and uninstall. Step 2, click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Step 3, launch raid and complete the tutorial. And step 4, go to your inbox and claim Karato, who'll be there waiting for you. It's a great start to raid. Well, for those of us that aren't starting with a brand new account with Karato, but those who have been around for a little bit and have faction wars running, why am I saying that I think these videos on new hard mode faction wars just aren't as practical as they could be? I think they're interesting to watch, but they go through this faction, for example, and say, hey, here's the champs they're thinking about using versus what roster they have. I just look at it and go, we don't know the speed of the new faction wars. We don't know the stats that they're going to need, how much resistance, how much axe tree. Are you going to have to change build? What speeds do the bosses run at? Are we going to have to rebuild champs? We don't know what the waves and the content look like. So if somebody told me how those multiple factions that have the triple Valkyrie waves, and wave 21, what champs they were going to use, and they didn't know there's going to be 3 Valks in that wave. Your thoughts on what you were bringing in probably got thrown out the window when you planned on bringing in a bunch of ally protects and increased defense and putting buffs up, and then the Valks all take turns and destroy your team, right? Well, then you realized, well, I guess I don't want to start off with a bunch of buffs, but if I can CC the Valks before I go, that would work. So that also leads me to, well, then how excited am I to plan which champs for each faction I want to use if I don't even know what the waves look like, if there are waves, and I don't know what the bosses look like. We also don't know what the special conditions are. So we could plan out the perfect route and then find out that you need epics only in this stage, to get 3 stars. Well, then I got to figure out a team of epics, right? And everything I thought I was going to do today, it becomes useless again. And we also all don't know the long list of passives. Any of you have been around for a while and remember what passives of bosses used to look like, and now can actually go read Amius's kit. Go read the kit of, the Shogun's Grove boss, or any of the new Curse City, or, those type of things. I mean, the things they're adding into passive skills for these bosses to try and counter all these new crazy champs and the power creep that's out there and the relics and the empowerment, they're putting all kinds of stuff in those passives. Do we think new hard mode faction wars will be any different? No, I'm expecting some bosses with some significant passives that we'll have to deal with. So that kind of sums up with all of those unknowns, I don't see sitting down and saying faction by faction, what's my plan going to be? I don't know. Who knows? I don't. So the other thing I think about then is I also have a different perspective on hard mode faction wars than those that think I want to be fully ready, and when it comes out, I want to destroy hard mode faction wars. I don't know about you guys, but I just go back to faction wars when I was going through them on my main account. Honestly, that was some of the most fun I've had in Raid. Just building teams for a faction, getting to 21, 3-starring 21. I mean, I had days where I took 2 factions out in the same day. I mean, I was just happy. I'm geeked. I'm like, yeah, 2 factions down. I loved it. And just getting closer and closer, and then finally getting Lydia. I loved that. And when I got done, actually, I was like in Reddit reading the posts on people. What do you do after you get Lydia? Like, does the game over? Am I done? I mean, I had a downer. Like, I don't know what to do next. Obviously, I'm still here, so I figured it out. But going through that now in my free-to-play, and same fun there, strategizing what teams to build and going through it. So honestly, I kind of want to go into hard mode faction wars and get that same feeling. I don't want to take my current teams, go in there and destroy hard mode faction wars when it launches and 3-star everything and go through and get to stage whatever they're going to have, 21, 52, whatever they have, and just beat it in the first 2 weeks. I actually hope it takes time. I actually hope it takes me months. I hope that I can grind and build new champs and go through the same excitement of expanding. It's just, I want the experience, the learning, the building. I'd love Faction Wars hard to feel like Faction Wars did. So I don't know exactly what that means, though. So I guess that leads me to the next section of this. Do I want from hard mode Faction Wars? I don't want Amius level irritating bosses that you either have to manual or run on auto, and see if that run works, and you don't really know what exactly is Amius going to do. You generally think, hey, I got to put heal reduction up at a certain point. I got to have decreased attack up and at a certain point. But every now and then, Amius just seems to do something you just didn't expect. I don't like the boss mechanics. I hope that's not what these look like. I hope these, if you look at the Faction War bosses today, they are consistent. They're repeatable. They can be challenging and complex, so you got to build teams that can beat them. But once you build a team that can beat them, you can pretty much just hit auto because you know the team's built to beat the boss. So I'd love to see them complex and hard to beat and hard to get the 3 stars, but I do want them to be consistent. And same thing with these Faction War bosses on the special conditions. I hope that those special conditions are maybe I got to manual the run to get the 3 star. But once I have the 3 star, don't make me get the special conditions every time to get the rewards. So I hope it's like current Faction Wars. You 3 star once, you get the Lego book, but then I don't care if I have one champ alive the rest of the time. I can get the best rewards out of Faction Wars without having everybody alive. I hope that's how they do hard mode Faction Wars, so that we can go in once, manual if I have to, get the special conditions, 3 star the faction to get the points towards the mythical, but then, hey, now I can just farm that thing. I don't have to have everybody stay alive. I don't have to get the special conditions. So in other words, I hope there's not rewards tied to the special conditions for the daily runs. So back to my point on, I want them to take time. I want to beat them over a time period of time. I don't want my current champs to run in there. I don't know what I'm really asking for there, to be honest, because maybe I do want some really tough stats, and I just can't beat stage 18, stage 15 today. And I need more relics, and I need more empowerment, and I need more, whatever they come out with next after relics, right? Whatever shield hat thing I'm going to put on. Special wands I got to wave. But maybe I do want to have my account grow to be able to beat the best stages. That's part of what we had to do with Faction Wars when you first started out. You had to find better champs. So maybe I do want champs that take specific skills, and if I don't have that champ, I got to wait to pull them or go there. I realize that's going to irritate some people. But so as I said, I'm not exactly sure what I want there, but I know I don't want to just beat it with the teams I have. I mean, I got an end game account on my main. I don't want to just roll through Faction Wars. So those are the things that come to my mind is, well, if it takes special skills, they got to release champs for that. And I got to hope to pull the champ that can do it. I don't know. I guess I'm just saying I'm open-minded to those type of things to come, so that Faction Wars isn't some content that's just done in 3 weeks and I'm just waiting for the December update for new stuff. I would like to beat it over time. One thing I did already mention in a previous video I wanted out of new Faction Wars this ship sailed and I'm not going to get it is I want relic materials. I want it to be able to farm Faction War hard so I can get materials to upgrade relics. I don't know where in the game we're supposed to get that stuff. It feels like Lego books for Legos when you're a new player and you just can't get enough because you can't get the Ultra Nightmare Clan boss to drop enough of them until you get there. This one feels worse. You get a whole bunch of relics in this game, I think, but you don't get the materials to upgrade them. I really wish Faction Wars Hard had those, not more relics. Don't add to the problem. Give me something to solve the problem. As I said, that I think that's already gone. They've already sold. That ship sailed. Maybe that's an upgrade in the future they could do. The other thing too is back to my I'd love to build this over time thing. Remember, hard mode stage 1 drops better rewards than normal stage 21. So you're not penalized. Anything you can do on hard on day 1's better than normal. So that's back to my patience on I don't have to get to stage 21 right away. I'm fine that anything run I'm doing in Faction Wars is better than what I was doing. So I'm good with that. Unless you're pure end game PvP, top live arena, top plat, and those guys are getting relics from these stage 21s and you're not, and that's a problem. That I get. But I don't think any of you are watching this video. So I think the masses of people who probably aren't watching this video either. But if the masses of people get to this video, that's just so far out. I think I'm fine knowing I could get there and I'm getting better rewards every stage I run. So those are my big thoughts on what do I want out of the faction mode, hard mode. But one thing that does come to mind, in all seriousness, I guess, when I get to what will I do? So a little mini piece of the Faction Wars hard mode prep that I said I wasn't going to do, but I'll do a little segment here, is I would in game here, if I look at the Great Hall and I go to the area bonuses, I got like 13,000 medals up here. So I was thinking, number one for me is Hydra, but since they nerfed Hydra and they launched Chimera, I got less excited to dump the medals here. So you can tell I haven't maxed everything. Cursed City is a pretty valid place to put those if you're trying to do the end of Cursed City. I just haven't been that motivated to try to go into Centranos and get that, but this is a place I would have put those. But I've been holding them thinking I know they're going to come out with Chimera medals at some point, and Chimera would be a pretty valuable place to put these given the rewards. But I could see one of the things you could do is just hold your medals for now, because I think Faction Wars aren't worth putting any medals into. Maybe hard mode's worth it. I guess we'll just have to see the value of those rewards relative to these medals and what else you could do with them, like in Chimera. So that I could see. Now, I did hear somebody say, I think it was Game Leak Cobb actually, who said, hey, what if they change the grade on this to a higher grade and you could spend the medals now at a cheaper grade? Fair point. That's a fair point. I don't know that they're going to do that, so I'm not doing that. I don't want to waste medals here that I realize I don't end up needing in Faction Wars. It's too hard to get these live arena medals, and I don't enjoy live arena enough, so I'm going to hold them because I feel like I'd rather spend them in Chimera than Faction Wars. I'd rather just beat Faction Wars with the champs I have built for other content. That's what I could do in normal, so I'm holding out for hard. And then I would hold champs that are pulled. So I'm a hoarder in everything. So I have hundreds of champs. I got 588, 361, and 394. I got all kinds of epics. And I have been actually going through and adding ascensions to the champs that I pull. So for each one copy. So I've got some rares in here with 5-star extensions, just because if I got a 5-star, I started putting on champs that could have some purpose. I got legendaries with them in there. I got epics that I'll add the ascensions to. These are more rare, so I got epics in here somewhere. If we include the Master Vault, go to epics and hide that. You can see that in here. I mean, I've got champs that I've never built, but Masamoto's 5-star, Lich is 5-star. I've got Neldor with a 4-star who's never been built. So I've added ascensions to all these champs already. So I do think holding on to these epics, even if you're not planning to use them, and I've been adding ascensions, maybe that helps in hard mode Faction Wars, maybe not, but I would at least not get rid of champs until hard mode Faction Wars come out if you have space to keep them, because we don't know which abilities we'll need on those special conditions. I think that is valid advice. And then certainly if you're not as advanced as my main account is, I'm more in my free-to-play mode. If you don't have AoE wave control builders, nukers, revivers, champs that help protect and keep your team alive, those are basic roles to have. So if you're missing basic roles in a faction, well, of course, building those champs, but you might not have Lydia then either if you don't even have those roles in a faction. So those are just things you would do to beat normal Faction Wars anyway. So I think those are still worthwhile doing. So those are a few tips there. So anyway, those are my thoughts on hard mode Faction Wars. If you think I'm wrong on this and you actually think it would be interesting to have me go through faction by faction and talk about what champs I think could be useful in those factions like I've seen other CCs do, let me know. You're the viewers. I would obviously record whatever you find interesting. Or if you were just interested in my normal Faction Wars teams, what do I do in normal Faction Wars, and which teams do I do, and how long do they take, and could I make them better? That's content I could do on normal Faction Wars, which is applicable today, and that makes sense. So if any of that stuff interests you, feel free to comment, and obviously I can take direction from there. I hope you found this interesting and informative. If you did, please like, please subscribe. I'm definitely trying to grow the channel. Thank you.